have you found Casa de Campo to really blow up?
You made it very clear to me that it's not the same if you're looking for a property to live in or to invest. That's why the houses are super affordable, because there's not a lot of external tourists coming.
Not yet.
Not yet. So welcome back to the Dominican Dreamhome podcast. I'm very excited to welcome to the show today Philip Andriotti, who is a real estate agent for the agency in New York City. And he's right now visiting Casa de Campo. So we decided to do a podcast together. How are you, Philip? How have you been feeling in Casa de Campo?
I am feeling amazing. I mean, I'm thrilled to be here. It's so amazing to be connected to you. This podcast is going to be amazing. We've seen some homes, and I'm excited to dive into things.
Great. I'm happy to have you on the show today. And I'm happy to talk a little bit about real estate in Casa de Campo, Dominican Republic, but also New York, because I'm very curious about how are you working and how is the market. Because I'm watching all these Netflix shows where all these people go into New York real estate. How is that for you? Like, how is it to work in such a big city in real estate?
Yeah, so it has its challenges because really every transaction is different and unique, right? So you have a variety of different property types. You have single family homes, you have 2-family homes, 3-family, multi-family homes, condos, co-ops. There's more to add to that, but that is the primary list for residential properties, which I focus on. I don't sell commercial properties. I sell to investors. I sell to end users, people who want to make the home their lifestyle choice, right? So that is my favorite client, even more so than for investors. But again, like every single transaction is different and unique. And that is the hardest thing about New York City real estate, is that it's that the change and different conversations based on the property type.
Yeah, different kinds of clients. They're coming from everywhere, probably.
Correct.
Like the same here, like a big international group of people, who probably live in the city in your case, but like they all have different needs and different wishes.
Yeah.
I hear you say co-ops. I've never heard about that. What is it?
So a co-op in New York City, there's a few in other states around, but the bulk of them are truly in New York City. A co-op is that you are buying a share of a corporation that owns the building. Okay, so the shares were divvied up when the building, once upon a time, was a rental building. And then the developer, the person who built that building, sold off units, but instead of you owning truly the inside of the walls, you're getting a lease to the amount of shares, like a proprietary lease for that unit. And there are rules, right? And there's a board that manages this building, and it's truly designed to be a primary residence, right? So some of them are flexible. They're a little bit more liberal. Okay, you could have a secondary home. You could lease it out when you no longer need it. But truly, it's meant for a primary residence, which makes that property more affordable than, say, a condominium, which is much more of an investor-friendly property where from day one you could buy it and then you could lease it out. But a co-op, you don't have those rules. You don't have that freedom. There's a guideline that you need to stick to, a house rule that's set by a board, and you have to follow it.
It just has to be your primary property.
In some cases, some of them are extremely strict. You can't have a secondary home. You can't have pets. You can't have more than X amount of people living in the home, whatever it is. Like, there are rules, but some of them are a little bit more flexible. Those are harder to come by.
Okay. And how you live in New York City, right?
I live in New York City. I live in Brooklyn specifically. Just moved there in the beginning of this summer. I absolutely love it. It feels much more livable. Like single family homes, 2-family homes, 3-family homes, main streets, parks, trees.
Like a little town inside of
it's nice because Manhattan, it could be overwhelming. And I did that for about 10 years.
Yeah.
There's
And
You know,
how is your experience so far here in Casa de Campo as like a New York City resident? Like a lot of how do you say, a lot of buzz, a lot of things going on, and here it's like peaceful. How is the like
yeah,
how would you see that if you would live here or have a second home here?
I for a New York City person who truly loves New York City, and isn't there just for work, right? Someone who I'm talking about like a New York City, like they have the option to be remote, or they have the flexibility to be able to find a job somewhere else, but they're choosing to be in the city. You're choosing to be in New York City for a lot of reasons. This area, this is an escape, right? This is a secondary home. This is vacation. This is to unwind, to fuel your battery, to go back and be the best that you could be in New York City, because there's so many people and there's a lot of like, you really have to be on. You have to constantly be. There's a lot of energy, and there's a lot of distraction. There's a lot of people, noise,
Yeah.
opportunity, theater, whatever it is, and you can get distracted. But you can let yourself like run around and play. But this is a great recharge.
Do you feel that yourself, that sometimes you have to get out of the city to
A
recharge?
hundred percent,
Yeah.
million percent. In fact,
Because I feel the opposite. I feel like I have to leave. I live here in Casa de Campo, and I feel like I have to leave sometimes to get a little bit of
but to
the,
get more.
yeah, to get a little bit of the being able to be in the people and to go to the theaters and to go to have the
So
choice
when
of 200 restaurants to go to.
so when you vacation to big cities.
Yes, usually. Yes. I am from the Netherlands, so I go to Amsterdam, but I also love New York City. I go to New York City a lot. Bogota, yeah, big cities, things where things are happening.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a different kind of vacation for me.
So you're originally from the Netherlands,
Yes.
and you moved here how long ago?
I moved here 11 years ago to Casa de Campo.
And then you got into real estate around
Yes.
that time, or later on?
A little bit later, I worked here in several projects in several companies because I'm originally a financial auditor. I
Okay.
worked for Deloitte for a lot of years, so I was more like in the financial services. But then I got into real estate, and I saw that it was very nice way to combine like my financial background, because people come here for investment properties. A lot of people that have a second home here, it's either for vacationing, like you say, to unwind, or it's to look for an investment properties who can actually, well, of course, they have to have a good return on investment. So I that way of thinking is helping me a lot here to be successful in advising on that way, in that sense.
So, remind me again, what year did you get into real estate in Casa de Campo?
Here in Casa de Campo, I went into real estate only last year.
Last year.
Yes.
And so your colleagues and you, have you found Casa de Campo to really blow up in the last 12 months? Has it been 3 years? Has it been longer? Or have I just found out about
Yeah.
it, and it's truly been a masterpiece for so much longer?
No, it has been discovered basically because of the pandemic. You know, like worldwide, what happening was that a lot of people were looking for places like this, peaceful, a lot of space, nature. So in the pandemic, a lot of people from New York City, from Santo Domingo, which is the capital of the Dominican Republic, from all over the world, they came to live here during the pandemic. And then a lot of people find out that it's actually very comfortable to have a second home here. So they ended up buying properties, which makes that the market right now, the prices have gone up like crazy, like doubled, tripled since 2020, 21. So it's kind of a, how do you say that? Like a mind fuck for people who were looking for a property in 2020, 2019, and they're like, wow, but the same gold villa that was 900,000 now is 1.7. So that's makes it like a little bit difficult. So I would say like from the pandemic, people discovered Casa de Campo. Also, Casa de Campo has done a very, very good job in the last few years of marketing in different cities of the United States. So I think that people are discovering, and that's why it has become so popular.
And in 2020 and in 2021, when they were buying those properties for $700,000 or $900,000, you still had all of this. Like, you still had the 3 golf courses, you still had the security and the service.
Yeah.
You still had Chavon, I'm saying that
Yeah.
right? The old town with
Yes.
like numerous restaurants, and it's just all of its beauty.
Yeah.
The marina was all still here. So not much has changed in Casa de Campo
No.
except for its popularity, right?
Exactly.
What about like supply? So has there also been a limited amount of supply and interest has just been through the roof? Has there been enough supply to go around for the demand?
Well, they had to, of course, they had to adapt to the amount of people that were coming to the resort. So with a lot more properties occupied or a lot more properties in construction right now, they have to keep up with the supply. For example, Casa Campo has their own electricity supply, their electricity plant. So they're not how do you say, they're not depending on the country's electricity. So up to now, we didn't have any problems with that. So they keep opening new restaurants. They keep like adapting.
They're keeping up with the demand.
Yeah, they're keeping up with it.
Definitely. It sounds like they're keeping up with the demand.
They opened a new spa like 1 year ago. So they remodeled the whole spa, and so yeah, they're keeping up their game.
So to talk about investment, right? If I have a client who wants to buy purely as investment, maybe he'll use it 30 days, 60 days max out of the year. He wants to buy property because he wants to rent it out and make money. Is that a possibility? Like, what is the cost to carry, a 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom, like the general, what's the average like price of that home?
Yeah.
What's like the monthly HOA or whatever you guys call it? In New York City, we call it maintenance, or we call it common charges for you guys. And of course we pay taxes. How does that work?
Okay, so first question, is it possible to make money? For sure. Because the resort has gained so much popularity, there's a lot of people always looking to rent properties. So it's not hard to rent out your home. There are different ways to do it, but you can Airbnb it. You can put it in the rental pool of the hotel. You can go to independent brokers who help you renting it out. So the costs, first of all, you have to pay 1% property tax yearly, 1% of the value of your property. And then you have the maintenance fee of Casa de Campo, which depends a little bit on which property you have. It will, for 4-bedroom, will probably be around $1,000 more or less, $800, $1,000.
A month?
A month, yes. So that's for being able to use the security, the beach. You have access here to the private beach of Minitas. You can even use the towels they have in the beach. So that's for the amenities of the resort. And then, of course, you have the maintenance of your house. So I always recommend to have a housekeeper who goes twice, 3 times a week, even if you don't use it, to have a gardener, which here in Dominican Republic, the costs of, how do you call it, cost of services of housekeeping is very affordable.
Right.
So that would be another, probably you would pay around $400 to $500 per month for a housekeeper, and another $400 for your gardener.
Okay. So at 1% on a $2 million property, that's $20,000 a year. You're looking at $1,000 a month in service fees, paying to Casa de Campo for security and everything else.
Yeah.
So that's at $12,000 a year. So you're at $32,000 plus in-home services, $500. So that's about $6,000. So you're at about somewhere between $35,000 and $40,000 a year to carry the $2 million home.
Yes. Then of course you have your little maintenance fees. Like, we're close to the sea here, so something can break.
Sure, of course, right.
But those are not
those are actually smaller, right? Because
smaller,
the cost to be able to repair them
are less.
is less.
Yes, exactly.
Much less than in New York City. When you have a repair, like those people, like the contractors or anyone, any of the companies that do the facade for townhouses or roofing, like they know you need this and they also
Yeah.
know you have money, right?
Yeah.
If you have a townhouse that costs $10 million, they're going to charge you, a premium.
Yeah. So, Philip, what would be the normal, like an average common charge for having a two-bedroom condo in a nice neighborhood in New York?
Common charge. So for condominiums, right, they're split taxes and common charges. A brand new building that has tons of amenities, it can go as high as like $4,000, maybe even higher, like a month.
Wow.
You can go on the lower end, something closer to 2,000, like 1,000 a month in taxes, 1,000 a month in common charges. It really depends on the building type and the location.
Okay. And if you in the future would earn a lot of money
Yeah.
and you could choose your perfect spot in New York, where would you live? Where do you see yourself, or what's like your favorite place to live?
Yeah. It's actually where I live now. I live in Cobble Hill in Brooklyn. I would buy a townhouse in Cobble Hill. It's like Carroll Gardens, Cobble Hill, and Brooklyn Heights. They sort of have the same energy. Brooklyn Heights is really like a fairy tale. It's so picturesque, right on the water. So when you go to the promenade, you could see downtown Manhattan. You have a great view of Manhattan. But like owning a single family home in New York City is a dream. I grew up in the suburbs of Long Island. You have a front door, you have your own lawn to tend to, and then you move to the city and it's like everyone's on top of each other
Yeah.
and riding the elevator and sharing like the laundry room together. And to me, I'm like, I get that renting, but to own, maybe I want to walk through a front door. And so endless money, dream, townhouse.
Okay. And you were talking before, you were talking about some buildings don't allow dogs. I have, for example, I have two dogs. I have a golden retriever. I have English cocker spaniel, and they just run through the polo fields here. I have a cat as well. Is it even possible to have a dog in New York? Like,
I would say it's impossible. My girlfriend would say different. She would
okay.
say, "Yeah, no problem, no pasa nada." She would say, "I'll take care."
Yeah.
Large dogs, I think, extremely hard. Like, I think that's out of the question for me. You see plenty of large dogs, but they like to run around. They like to play. People, we're working in New York City. We're out. We're socializing. That's why you're in New York City.
Yeah.
You're meeting friends at restaurants and bars, and you're doing activities. You're networking. You're socializing. The dog needs to be active. If you have a dog that's small and that could fit in your tote, I think that's the best kind of dog for New York City.
Okay. Okay, good. Because here it's well, it's a different environment. I wanted to ask you one more question. As you know, in here in Dominican Republic, we also have, apart from Casa de Campo in general, the country is really growing on tourism. We have a lot of tourists coming in. The rate of people, or like the amount of people coming into the country, is growing a lot in the last few years. So we have a lot of new developments, especially
Okay.
in Punta Cana, in Cap Cana, right here in Bayahi with Dominicus. We have like those buildings, like you say, with amenities, with the pool. Some of them are walking distance from the beach. Do you still have new developments in New York, or is it more like older buildings being
No,
remodeled?
constantly. Yeah, constantly. There's changing landscape to Manhattan and to Brooklyn because it's growing. I mean, you would think like, oh, New York City already has the most amount of people. It's still getting more, and it's expanding outwards, right? So you go into these neighborhoods that are easier for developers to turn a profit, right? In Brooklyn or in Queens, for example, where they buy buildings, knock them down, and then they build a skyscraper,
Okay.
right? So there's tons of new development condos all around the city.
So what is right now, if I would be an investor, what would be the from the point of an investor, because you made it very clear to me that it's not the same if you're looking for a property to live in or to invest. What would be right now
Great
a
question.
good project to keep an eye
I
on?
would buy I would personally buy a condominium in Brooklyn. They have lower taxes, lower monthlies. Manhattan is expensive. If you're an investor and you're looking at numbers, you're considering, okay, what are my monthly costs to carry, my net operating costs to carry this property? What is going to be my income? And that is heavily dependent on what you could rent the property for. And there are beautiful neighborhoods in Brooklyn that demand high rents, equally to Tribeca, to West Village, to Soho, to Greenwich Village. And you can get higher rents, but your operating costs are lower in Brooklyn. So your cap rate will be higher in Brooklyn. A lot of investors aren't buying New York City.
Yeah.
They want to buy because they want to buy something real, something tangible, and they want to own a piece of New York City. But the numbers, they're not like jaw dropping at all.
Okay. Well,
What is it like here?
here is it's well, like I said, it's because it's a resort, and also the other new projects that are developing, they're mainly like focused on upcoming tourism. So the taxes are still manageable. Like I said, it's 1% of
At
the
the other
property.
at the other projects.
Yeah, like basically
Okay.
all the properties here in Dominican Republic
Okay.
are still, as long as you buy in a location which is for tourists attractive, I think you will always have a good buy until then. Right now, the government still has a tax exemption, which is called Confutur, that some projects still have it. They don't have any property taxes for 15 years. There
Wow.
are still
Okay.
some projects who have that. The government is trying to do a tax reform, so I think soon that will be eliminated, but it's still possible.
So just to rewind a little bit, I met Steven, the head of agents for the Dominican Republic, when he visited New York City, which is why, and when he came to New York, like there was like a calling. I was like, that's a dream to be able to sell real estate in the DR for 2, 3, 4 months and then live in New York for the remaining. And he really educated us on all of these new projects that are happening
Yeah.
in Cap Cana, even in Jarabacoa, and I met a developer as well. Have you been to the Jarabacoa development?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could buy like a villa there for like how much? Like, have you been impressed with like the numbers and like the opportunity that as much as I think that I am?
Yeah, well, Jarabacoa, okay, so Jarabacoa is the mountain part of Dominican Republic, so it's the highest part of the country, and it's still, what happens is that it's very, how do you say that, like internal tourism. So a lot of people from the capital of Santo Domingo, they have a house there.
Okay.
So that's why the houses are super affordable, because there's not a lot of external tourists coming.
Not yet,
Not yet.
but that's a good time to buy then.
Yes, it's a good time to buy because it's definitely going to grow. There is a lot of developments there, and it's a beautiful, beautiful area. Like there is, well, it's hard to describe, but like the vegetation there, it's amazing.
It's more like mountains,
Yeah, it's
like adventure, like
yeah.
like
Yeah, you can go hiking.
yeah,
You
hiking,
can
kite
do, how can you how to say the with the motors.
like
excursions.
ATVs.
Yes, yes. So it's more adventurous.
Parasailing, maybe you could
Yeah.
do
You have a
like
lot
water
of,
rafting, maybe.
yeah, you have a lot of waterfalls.
Uh-huh.
You can go hiking to the waterfall. So it's a lot of raw nature that is still like untouched.
But what's like the town like? Do they have restaurants like they have like here? Do they have like bars and like a scene? Like, is it
It's very undeveloped still.
okay?
But they do. They do have restaurants and very local Dominican food, like, like the rice and beans.
Yeah.
Which is nice. It's a very authentic experience. Like it's super. You feel like you're like, for example, Casa de Campo is more developed, right? So you have an Asian restaurant, you have an international restaurant where you can get all types of, you can get steaks, but there it's like very authentic Dominican still, which makes it very attractive for people who want to have that experience. Like not everybody, if you want luxury or if you want beach, you go to another place. But if
Sure.
you really what we see also is in general in the world, like people like to go back to the basics. So that Jarabacoa is definitely a place where you wake up and you see the mountains and you go hiking and you bathe yourself in a pretty cold river. It's like
Right.
very cold.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'm picking up on is that there's something for everyone
Yeah,
in
definitely.
the Dominican Republic.
Definitely.
Truly every price point,
Yes.
you know, every landscape, because you have like a jungle rainforest and then you
Yes.
have like these beautiful beaches.
Yeah. And even the beaches are different because the beaches on the south, there are more like white sand palm
Uh-huh.
beaches, and the beaches on the north in the Atlantic Ocean, they are more like they're more rough, like more but more authentic as well, like because
And
they're
it's
very different.
exact, and there's waves, right? There's
Yeah.
like proper waves.
Yeah.
This is the Caribbean, so
Yes,
it's yeah.
it's calmer. You can even there's a place, it's called Cabarete. They have a lot of kite surfing, surfing. So it's like really a surfer's paradise. They do a lot of surf competitions as well there. So there in the south we have like a beach that has pebbles. Like you go there and you walk bare feet. It's impossible. You have like these big pebbles that you just
In
have
the
to
south,
in the south, yeah, in the southwest. So like the country is so different. Like it
uh-huh,
has, like you say, it has something for all.
something for all, and it's super accessible by plane. You have Santiago, a main airport that maybe you'd fly into for Jarabacoa. You have Santo Domingo,
Yeah. Puerto
well-connected
Plata.
airport, and Punta Cana.
Yes, and Puerto Plata as well,
Where
international
is that
airport.
in
It's
relation
in the
to?
north, like
Okay.
closer to the surfers beach.
Okay, got
Yeah,
it. Yeah, I went to Las Terrenas a few years back and I absolutely loved it. Went
it's
to this
lovely.
restaurant, Louise, to get some authentic
Yeah.
Dominican food and fried up a fish like on a green table, had a presidente,
Yeah.
had the, what is it called when you cook the rice and it makes it crispy on the bottom?
They call it a cocon.
Cocon.
Cocon, yeah. Yes.
So good.
You
And
can,
then the best hot sauce that I've ever had
yeah.
with that fish. And it was just like, it was one of the most special meals that I've ever had. We walked along the
Yeah.
water. But this place, the Dominican Republic, is so special. Again, like I'm so excited to be here, having met you, touring properties, doing
Well,
this podcast, like
yeah.
in a room that I would never imagine that I would be in. Like it is a pool house with a couch with floor to ceiling glass windows and a 12-person dining room table. This is so cool. Thank you so much.
Well,
Yeah.
I am also very happy that I had you here in the podcast. I am always, I'm just very grateful that this is my home right now, that I live here. So I'm always very happy to show it to people who are interested and who want to know about Dominican Republic, who want to know Casa de Campo. So I'm happy to be your guide for today,
Yeah.
and I'm happy you were chit-chatting a bit with me about Casa de Campo and about New York City, which is one of my favorite cities.
It is, I mean, and again, when I met Steven in New York, tourism here is like number 9 in the world.
Yeah,
I had
it's,
no idea.
yeah,
Like it's like there, like people are coming here.
yes.
They want to live here. It's a very accessible Caribbean and also very like cultural. Like there's a distinct culture. You're getting like a really good. It's not like plain,
No, it's true.
and it's like, and the people here are all nice, and it's like, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, the people are very happy. My husband is Dominican, so I get to share a lot of time with him and with his family and with his Dominican friends. People are just in general happy and grateful, and they could have nothing and they still would invite you into their house. They would cook a meal for you. Um, People are just like very warm and very open, open for conversation, open for dancing. A lot of people dance here. You when you go into the streets here you hear music everywhere. It's a very, like you say, it's a very rich culture, and they have been able to conserve that culture very well.
I know it sounded like we were like wrapping up,
Yeah.
but I do have actually a few more questions just
Okay,
about like Casa de Campo real estate.
go ahead.
Because you were asking me about like property types, like co-ops and condos and
Yeah.
single family homes. What's it like here? Are we talking about mostly single family homes and villas? Is there another property? Can I buy a could I buy a condo inside Casa de Campo only?
Yeah, yeah, you could. Yeah. We have Casa de Campo, well, it's mainly focused on villas and single family homes, but we have some areas, for example, close to Chabón, like the little town we have, which is called Los Altos. There are several buildings of condos that you could buy.
How much?
The most economic one would start around $500,000, which is one bedroom condo. And like a penthouse 3 bedroom would go for a 1.4, 1.5, depends a little bit on
Does it
the
still need
state.
work? Both of those? Does it still like the kitchen's maybe a little dated, the bathroom, or am I getting something new?
Yeah, the apartments they are about 13 years old, so
Okay.
the kitchen and the kitchen could still work, but they're not like the super.
Okay.
We do have some apartments that are just remodeled and like super wow. Of course, the price point is a little bit higher.
How do those rent compared to the villas? Like if you're thinking about an investment,
Yeah.
you're probably needing to buy a villa if you're thinking about it for here, right? Because
Yeah.
how do those fare on Airbnb and elsewhere?
Well, everything rents out pretty
Everything
well.
does. Okay.
Also the condos, because the price point of renting is also lower. People are looking to stay in
A more
in a
affordable
condo.
price
Yeah.
point, yeah.
So they like to stay in the apartment. The apartments are beautiful. They're spacious. We also have apartments in La Marina. La Marina, like with the view over La Marina, over the plaza.
On top of the commercial?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
On top of the commercial areas, there are
Oh, okay.
apartments. Yes, they go from, I think they start about 900,000, 1 million,
Okay.
up to 1.8, super remodeled, beautiful
And
three bedrooms.
you still have to pay that 1%
Yes.
tax that still applies,
Yeah.
and about like the 500 to 900, or
Yeah,
maybe
that
because
would
it's smaller, you
be
pay
no.
less
You still pay about 750 to
to
$800.
Casa de Campo.
Yeah, maintenance fee. Yeah, that's more or less the same. Then we have we have all different sorts of villas. Villas start at a price point of 1 million that needs some work, up to, well, 20
30.
more
Yeah.
million. Yes.
So many millions.
Yes. So for everyone, there's something to buy.
Yeah, I think I've done a gentle search on the agency website to see some of these properties.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or Zillow. Is Zillow like is a popular listing website here or no?
No,
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 not at all.
no.
Okay.
The thing is, like, we don't have an MLS here.
Okay.
So it's very recommendable to, if you're looking for a property here, to really contact an agent.
Ah,
So because the agent usually has the access to the properties that are on the market.
that's nice.
Yeah.
That is such a nice thing for you.
Yeah.
So in New York, we have not only Zillow, but we have Street Easy,
Okay.
which is like if you're listing a property, you are most definitely putting it on Street Easy
Yeah.
for everyone to see.
Yeah.
Street Easy about 10 years ago did such a good job of marketing to consumers for rent or for sale. Really, I think it started off as more rentals, like a trusted website for this listing truly exists.
Okay.
Because New York City real estate agents, many times, they would use listings to be able to generate like rental leads. So you put on like a super nice listing and someone would contact you, oh, sorry, it's not available. Let me show you something else, like a bait and switch.
Okay.
Street Easy was like, oh, we're no fee listings. It started off meaning like you didn't have to pay a broker fee, but it's developed into like this huge marketing point for
Yeah.
every single agent. Where if
Yeah.
you weren't on Street Easy,
It would be
it would be
difficult.
a much larger challenge because also agents have relied on this,
Yeah.
right? We get so many listings sent to us from our colleagues being like, check out this apartment, check out this apartment. I quickly throw them in like spam or like,
Yeah.
because I have this resource. When I have a buyer who's
just-
looking for something like this, I'm getting alerts saying this new property is on, this new property is on,
Yeah.
So
So it's easier to have an
It's-
overview of what the market is
correct.
doing. Yeah.
But
It's-
so don't the consumers.
Yeah.
So if you're representing a buyer, maybe it's someone who's referred to you, or maybe you like picked them up off the street, like you don't have great rapport yet. They could go directly to the listing property because
Yeah.
they have that person's phone number and email
Okay.
and the address.
Yes.
For you guys here, it's like you need it's the older way pre Street
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. And
You guys need you.
it's
Yeah.
very based on context. It's based on knowledge of the market, like because there's no MLS, you don't know what
Sure.
the property has sold for before. So there's no record of that. So you really, as a buyer, it's really recommended to, well, you need to use a real estate agent to get access to that
Yeah.
information and to also get access to the information of the properties that are for sale, the comparatives of the market. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
makes
no,
your
that's an excellent point. I mean, I don't want to sell us New York agents short when I say all the properties are listed online,
yeah,
because going back to what I was saying about how there's so many different property types and every transaction is different.
yeah. So it's
Especially,
another way of working,
yeah,
basically. Like for me, also sometimes it's difficult if I have a listing and I really want the market market it. It's sometimes difficult because you don't have that tool
right,
of a general website where everybody goes to look for a property.
right,
So you have to be more creative and look for ways of like, okay, this specific property,
yeah,
what is the public that would buy this, and how do I promote it, social media or paper,
right,
magazines, or like you have to like really come up with a tailor-made strategy
right.
to be able to sell the
Well,
property.
actually, that brings me to another question. So you're trying to figure out who your buyer is for that specific property.
Yeah.
Who's the buyer for a $2-3 million 4 bedroom, home here?
Very
Typical.
diverse.
Okay.
We have a lot of buyers from Santo Domingo, from the capital,
Oh, okay.
because the capital is a big city. They want to have a weekend home, so they come here for the weekend. We have a lot of people from the United States, from New York. We had a lot of people from Canada coming in because it's like easy access. And then also we have a big Italian community from Italians who
Okay.
like to come here and spend the summer. So it's really diverse. We see a lot of Latin Americans coming, like Colombians, Peruvians, people, Argentinians who start to like explore the market here to see if they can buy a property. So yeah, it's
That's
really a
great.
diverse group of buyers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My girlfriend is Peruvian. So I'm hoping her and her Peruvian friends are going to see this podcast and
Yes,
say,
we
let's
want a
go.
property.
This sounds great. Let's
Yes,
go buy something
I hope so
in
too.
Casa de Campo. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I hope so too. I hope, like I say, I just love the country. I love the place. So the more people that know about it, the better.
Yep. I would agree.
All right. Well, then I think we should wrap it up.
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, I think it was an amazing,
Yes. Okay.
amazing chat. I really enjoyed it. So
I think
thank you
so
again.
too. Well, thank you, Philip, for this great chat and podcast and your insights about Casa de Campo. It's always great to hear it from another perspective, and also, yeah, from somebody seeing it through different
Yeah.
eyes. And also, I really love to hear about the New York real estate market. So I hope you enjoy your stay here in Casa de Campo. And if you have, well, sorry, God. Okay.
I was just gonna give you like a high five. Thank you.
Okay. Well, let's
Yeah.
do the wrap up one more
You
time.
want to do the
Okay.
wrap up? Yeah, do the wrap up.
Okay. Okay. So, okay. Well, Philip, thank you so much for being on the podcast with me. It's always great to see Casa de Campo through different eyes, through different perspectives. So it was really cool to hear your side of what you just have seen so far. And also, it was really nice to hear about the real estate market in New York City, which is, for me, I love the city. And I think for many people, it's like, wow, it's really nice. It's a big city with a lot of things going on. So thank you so much. And I hope you will enjoy a lot your stay here.
Thank you. I will. I have 5 more days.
Great, great. Well, enjoy them. Enjoy them.
Thank you.
Thank you.